So we have just sold this RX350. We're gassing it up. It's 2011. Did just want to go through how it's a very nice looking vehicle, especially with old Lexus, old Toyotas. They held a couple where the leather was in very nice shape. Yeah, it's dirty. We will clean it, but this is a vehicle that is just very comfortable. The old Japanese cars had something to it. Not everybody likes this, but I do. I think it's nice. Looks good. For 2011, 103,000 miles. You know, every vehicle's going to have some wear and tear. But for a vehicle that you can find easily for under 15,000, with everything, it's not bad. And one of my personal favorites is when you get in right here. Well, we do have two cup holders here. That's a little interesting where you actually have to navigate the maps, but check that out. Cup holder only. The third cup holder right there. That's kind of cool. Haven't seen really any other brands have it like be right there. And then you do have this little storage compartment under there for purses and whatnot. Very, very cool. So we just turned it on right now. And as you can see, it is obviously dependent on how speedy you are, but very interesting. Oh, we do have the manual there. No glass holder, but that's similar to Volvo. I guess they have plenty of space, you know, underneath. Not really sure what that is, but very nice. You do have navigation with this, and it is a very... Oh, look at that. That camera's pretty good for 2011. Yeah, not bad at all. It is a very well-equipped vehicle that you can find under a certain price range, because there's going to be a lot of cars that you're going to be choosing between that might be Bluetooth connection failed. Well, nothing's connected to Bluetooth right now. There's going to be a lot of vehicles that are going to be in much rougher shape. And this, you know, probably like that Toyota that we just took in as a trade-in. Oh my God, look at that. Oh my, like this guy just bought a Toyota. Look at that. People actually, this literally just came in. Okay, this is freaking out. I put it into park. You actually have to, I remember I had a Toyota Avalon. You have to shut off, and they really care about your seatbelts there. This just came in. This guy just bought the Toyota right as I'm selling this Lexus here. And yeah, there's just crazy trade-ins you see all across. So try finding a good vehicle that's going to be, you know, under 15,000. That's going to have a lot of luxury features, but it's still very reliable. Yes, there's going to be a lot of German cars, but the Germans, well, you know, there's always going to be something that's not right, and it's going to cost you a pretty penny. It's not like Lexus is the cheapest thing in the world. It's similar to Volvo. It's just a nice premium brand where you can feel pretty comfortable in it. Only thing I will say as a downside is to the Japanese brands, unfortunately, there's just not that much space here. So as you can see, I'm a big guy and I'm comfortable, but it's not the most comfortable thing in the entire world. I wish there was a little bit more space. But I've had that with a lot of Japanese vehicles. I've owned Japanese vehicles. I've sold Japanese vehicles, Infinities, and it's similar each time, you know. It just is what it is. They're produced for people who are much smaller and much shorter than I am. So while we're waiting for a car wash, this is the craziest thing about Lexuses and Toyotas. They just really keep their value. A vehicle, let's say even an Acura or an older Infiniti is not going to be in the same price range as a 2011 RX350. Something similar would be, well, Infiniti. This looks a lot more modern than the old QX50, because the new QX50, well, it looks better, you know, like 2016, yeah. You can't really compare. The old RDX, the old QX50s, they're just going to be in a much rougher shape for a lot less money, but also they're, you know, those vehicles are just, you know, you can compare to an old Ford Explorer at that point. One thing about the Lexuses is they are very quiet cars. They're notorious for being super quiet. They're well made. They have this nice soft, it's not suede, I don't know what that material is, but it's very cool. It does get dirty quite easily though. The sound system in this, it's a base model, but the Mark Levinson sound system in some of the higher end Lexuses is very cool. And I've sold a couple Lexus RX350s before, and usually I've had older ones than this, I've had newer ones than this, but usually the buyer is someone who's had a Lexus before or has been doing a lot of research. They have friends and they decided RX350, that's what I want to go with. And these people keep their cars for a long time. This was an elderly couple that held this vehicle for a very long time. Similar to Volvo, you're going to have brand fanatics. And with Infiniti, when I was selling Infinitis, you really didn't have that. It was people who maybe just had a better financial position and finally could afford to upgrade their Nissan, which isn't the best of brands. And the Infiniti is certainly a much better comparison than Nissan, but not by much. And when you go to Acura, it's a little bit better, but Lexus was always the go-to. It's the Asian, if you made it, this is the I'm rich car. And a lot of people just really respect that. You're driving an old Lexus and it's classy, it's prestigious, it's a reliable car. So, you know, you're someone who's focused on finances and doesn't want to be flashy with a Beamer. Every brand has its own positives, except for Mitsubishi, which I sold. But everything else, you know, they're cheap. That's the positive. With Lexus, you have something that feels like it can last, like with these steering wheels. I absolutely love these steering wheels here, although you can see a couple dents and whatnot, scratches, but it feels like something you could actually have probably for another 10-15 years. These vehicles will last you just a really long time. The one other downside to these vehicles is similar to all the other Japanese brands, they just get outdated after a while with the technology, and these brands aren't constantly improvised where every 3 years there's a different model. I mean, there's different new models coming out, you know, like the NX or the UX or, you know, the facelift versions of that. But some of these vehicles, if they're successful, they're going to keep them running for like 7 years before you have major updates and whatnot. So with that, we're going to give this up for a wash. The client's happy. This is going to be their first car back in America, and it's a pretty sturdy car. So. Check that out. Oh, pink Lamborghini, bro. That's awesome.